Welcome back to Healthier Daily. If you're over the age of 60 and find yourself feeling slower, a little weaker, or mentally foggier than you used to, most people will tell you, well, that's just a part of getting older. But what if it's not? What if the real issue is a form of silent malnutrition, where key essential nutrients have quietly faded from your body, taking your strength, your balance, and your mental clarity with them? To help us identify these critical missing pieces, we are deeply honored to have a man who has dedicated his entire life to this very subject. He is Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara. At over 100 years of age, he is a living legend in Japan, a physician who has treated patients for more than 70 years and who personally embodies the vitality we all seek. Doctor, thank you for being with us. Is what we commonly call aging often just a nutrient problem in disguise?
Thank you, Dr. Carter. You have gone directly to the heart of the matter, and the answer is yes. So often, what we label as old age is simply the sound of a body that is playing out of tune because some of its most important musicians are missing. I like to think of the body as a great orchestra. For it to play beautiful, strong music, every musician must be in their chair. Vitamin D is the conductor, ensuring everyone plays together. Vitamin K2 is the concertmaster, telling each section where to sit. B12 and omega-3s are the first violins, carrying the beautiful melody of thought and memory. And magnesium is the rhythm section, the quiet drum in the back that keeps everything in perfect time. When one of these key players is missing, the entire symphony sounds wrong. The music becomes slow, it becomes weak, it becomes confused. This is the fatigue and the brain fog that so many people feel. But the wonderful news, and this is the hope I want to share today, is that this is not permanent. When you invite the missing musician back to their chair, when you restore the missing nutrient, the orchestra can learn to play its beautiful, strong music once again.
Inviting the musicians back to their chairs. That is such a hopeful way to think about reclaiming our health. If you or a loved one is experiencing that out-of-tune feeling and you want to learn how to restore your body's harmony, please type a 1 in the comments below. And be sure to follow our channel to join a community dedicated to sharing this vital, life-changing knowledge, all completely for free. Dr. Hinohara, your orchestra analogy is the perfect way to understand this. It helps us see the body not as a collection of separate parts, but as one interconnected system that needs all of its players to be present. So let's start with the leader of that orchestra. In your analogy, you called vitamin D the conductor. Why is this nutrient so fundamental, and why do so many seniors become deficient in it?
Yes, the conductor. Because vitamin D does not just play one instrument, it stands at the front of the stage and influences the entire performance. It is the master regulator. It instructs the immune system, telling it when to be strong against invaders and when to be calm and not attack itself. It helps to manage inflammation throughout the entire body. It is essential for mood and brain function. And most importantly for our topic today, it is what allows the body to absorb calcium from the food we eat. Without the conductor signal, the calcium musicians cannot even enter the concert hall. The deficiency is so common in older adults for two simple reasons. First, as we age, our skin becomes much less efficient at making vitamin D from sunlight. An older person may need 3 or even 4 times more sun exposure than a young person to produce the same amount. Second, our modern lifestyle has changed. We spend more time indoors. We wear sunscreen, which is important, but it also blocks the rays that create vitamin D. So the opportunity to make this vital hormone is lost for many.
You're right to highlight its broad role. We call it a vitamin, but as we've discussed before, It actually functions as a powerful steroid hormone. Nearly every cell in our body, from our immune cells and muscle fibers to our brain neurons, has vitamin D receptors on its surface. This means that all of these cells are literally waiting for instructions from this conductor. When those instructions don't come because of a deficiency, the system falls into disarray. The immune system can become confused, leading to autoimmune conditions. The muscles can weaken, increasing the risk of falls. And as you said, perhaps most critically, without vitamin D, we cannot properly absorb calcium from our gut. This leads directly to our next topic, which is what happens to that calcium once it's in the body, and why the concertmaster of the orchestra, vitamin K2, is so absolutely essential.
Exactly. The conductor, vitamin D, brings the calcium musicians into the concert hall. But this can be a very dangerous situation if there is no one there to guide them. That is the job of the concertmaster, vitamin K2. Its job is very specific, but it is perhaps the most important job for the safety and structure of the entire orchestra hall, which is our body. Vitamin K2's purpose is to take every single calcium musician by the hand and show them to their correct seat in the bone section. And just as importantly, it prevents them from wandering off and sitting in the soft curtains of the arteries or inside the delicate organ pipes of the kidneys, where they would cause great damage.
This is what scientists now call the calcium paradox, and it's one of the most important concepts in modern nutrition for seniors. For decades, doctors told older adults, especially postmenopausal women, to take high doses of calcium supplements to prevent osteoporosis. But over time, we saw a very troubling trend in the research. Many of these people had slightly better bone scans, but they also had a significantly increased risk of heart attacks and strokes. They were building their bones, but hardening their arteries at the same time. We now know the missing piece of the puzzle was vitamin K2. K2 activates a crucial protein in our blood vessels called matrix GLA protein, or MGP. You can think of MGP as the security guard in the arteries. When activated by K2, MGP's job is to bind to any free-floating calcium and escort it out, preventing it from sticking to the arterial walls. Without enough K2, MGP is inactive, the security guard is asleep, and the calcium is free to build up as dangerous plaque.
So it keeps the calcium out of the wrong places, but it must also do the second half of its job. It must put the calcium in the right place.
Precisely. And it does that by activating another protein called osteocalcin. Osteocalcin is like the glue that helps lock calcium into our bone matrix. Vitamin K2 is the switch that turns this powerful glue on. So you need vitamin D3 to absorb the calcium from your food, and you need vitamin K2 to direct that calcium into your bones and away from your arteries. They work as an inseparable team. A 2022 systematic review in the Journal of Nutrition concluded that co-supplementation with both vitamin D3 and K2 is significantly more effective for improving both bone density and cardiovascular health than taking either nutrient alone.
And this is where the modern diet creates a problem. In the traditional Japanese diet, we get a very potent form of vitamin K2 from one primary source, natto, the fermented soybeans we have spoken of before. It is the richest source in the world. But in the West, this food is very uncommon. K2 is also found in some aged, hard cheeses and in the organ meats of grass-fed animals. But these are also foods that are not eaten frequently by most seniors today. This is why the deficiency of the concertmaster has become so widespread and so dangerous.
Dr. Hinohara, we've established the foundational importance of vitamin D3 and K2, the master hormone and the calcium director, in setting the stage for overall health. Now let's focus specifically on the brain and the nervous system itself. What is the next essential vitamin you identify as a guardian of our mental clarity as we age?
The next nutrient is indeed a guardian. It is vitamin B12, which I consider to be the guardian of the nervous system. Its primary job is to protect every nerve in your body, much like the coating on an electrical wire. This protection allows the communication between your brain and your body to be fast, clear, and precise. When B12 is abundant, thoughts connect quickly and memory is sharp. This was the missing piece for my patient Mrs. Fuji, the 78-year-old poet I mentioned. She came to me with a list of problems that other doctors had dismissed as just old age. She had deep fatigue, a persistent low mood, a strange tingling in her feet, and a frustrating brain fog. She told me, "Doctor, the words are still in my head, but I cannot seem to find them when I need them." We ran blood tests, and the answer was clear. She had a severe vitamin B12 deficiency. Her body was failing to protect its own communication network.
Mrs. Fuji's symptoms are a perfect clinical picture of what happens when that guardian is missing. The communication network you describe is protected by a fatty coating around our nerves called the myelin sheath. As you said, it acts like the insulation on a wire. Vitamin B12 is a critical building block for maintaining the health of this myelin. When B12 is deficient, this insulation begins to fray and wear thin. The electrical signals from the brain slow down, they misfire, or they get lost. This is what directly causes the tingling in the feet, the muscle weakness, the balance problems, and the brain fog. But there is another hidden danger. Your body also needs vitamin B12 to process an inflammatory amino acid called homocysteine. When B12 is low, homocysteine levels can build up in the blood. High homocysteine is a well-established risk factor for damaging the small blood vessels in the brain. A 2021 study published in the journal Neurology found a direct correlation between low B12 levels, high homocysteine, and an accelerated rate of brain atrophy or shrinkage, particularly in the hippocampus, which is the brain's memory center.
So it is not just a feeling. A deficiency can cause real physical damage to the brain.
It can. B12 is absolutely essential. Now, what about the next crucial nutrient on your list? How does it work with B12 to protect our brain?
If vitamin B12 protects the wires, then the next nutrient is the very substance the brain itself is made of. It is not a vitamin, but an essential fat. The omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3s keep the brain tissue soft, flexible, and resilient. They are also the body's primary internal peacekeeper, working to calm the fires of chronic inflammation that can damage brain cells. For my patient, Mrs. Fuji, after we began to restore her B12 levels with supplementation, we also added a high-quality source of omega-3s from small, oily fish into her diet. The combination was powerful. Over several months, her mood lifted, the tingling in her feet stopped, and most importantly for her, the words returned. Her poetry came back because the brain tissue itself was finally being properly nourished and protected from inflammation.
That is a wonderful outcome, and it highlights the different but complementary roles of the two most important omega-3s, DHA and EPA. It's helpful for our audience to think of them this way. DHA is primarily a structural fat. It is a major physical building block of your brain cell membranes. Having enough DHA keeps your neurons flexible and healthy so they can communicate effectively. EPA, on the other hand, is a functional fat. Its main job is to be converted into powerful anti-inflammatory molecules called resolvins and protectins, which act like a fire department for your brain. The problem, as you know, is that our modern diets are often flooded with pro-inflammatory omega-6 fats from processed vegetable oils and are starved of these anti-inflammatory omega-3s. This creates a constant state of low-grade inflammation that is very harmful to long-term brain health. The interplay between these nutrients is fascinating, and the solutions are accessible to people everywhere. It's truly a global conversation. To get a sense of our wonderful Healthier Daily community, please take a moment to type your city, state, or country in the comments below. We love seeing where you are all learning with us. Dr. Hinohara, we now have our master regulators in vitamin D3 and K2, and the guardians of our nerves and brain structure in B12 and omega-3s. That's already a powerful team of 4. What is the 5th and final essential nutrient on your list? The one you consider the unsung hero of the orchestra?
The final piece is one that is often forgotten because it works quietly in the background of every single process. But without it, nothing else functions correctly. It is magnesium. I call it the body's quiet stabilizer. It does not conduct the orchestra or play the main melody, but it is the very electricity that allows the lights in the concert hall to turn on and the musicians' instruments to work. It is involved in over 300 essential processes in the body. When magnesium levels are low, the entire system becomes tense, irritable, and enters a state of hidden stress.
You're absolutely right to call it a stabilizer. From a biochemical perspective, magnesium acts as a cofactor for more than 300 critical enzyme systems in the body. This means it's the helper molecule needed to spark countless reactions, including the production of ATP, which is our body's fundamental energy currency. Without enough magnesium, energy production at the cellular level slows down, which directly leads to fatigue. It also has a beautiful, calming relationship with calcium. While vitamin K2 directs calcium into the bone, magnesium functions as a natural calcium channel blocker. It helps prevent an excess of calcium from flooding into our muscle and nerve cells, which is what causes muscle cramping, tightness, and that feeling of being wired or anxious. It is truly the body's own relaxation mineral.
And when this relaxation mineral is missing, the body cannot find its rhythm. It cannot find its peace.
We've covered 5 incredibly important nutrients today, and the interconnectedness is just stunning. Before we close, for everyone listening who might be feeling overwhelmed by this information, what is the single most valuable lesson you would like to leave them with today about how to approach their health?
The greatest mistake I see in modern health is that we chase individual symptoms. We take one pill for the head, another for the stomach, and another for the joints. But the body is not a collection of separate broken parts. It is a beautiful interconnected web. The lesson I have learned in over 100 years of life is this: do not chase the symptom, nourish the system. When my patient, Mrs. Fuji, came to me, she presented a memory problem, a mood problem, and a balance problem. But she did not have 3 separate diseases. She had one single systemic problem. Her body was undernourished. It was starving for B12 and vitamin D. Instead of giving her 3 different medicines for her 3 different symptoms, we simply gave her body what it was missing. When we nourished the whole system, the individual symptoms disappeared on their own because they were all connected from the very beginning. So I ask you not to worry about every little ache or every forgotten name. Instead, ask yourself a simpler, deeper question. Is my body well nourished? Am I giving my orchestra all the musicians it needs to play its beautiful music? If you focus on that, the symptoms will often take care of themselves.
Nourish the system, not the symptom. That is a profound and empowering philosophy that can change lives. Thank you, Doctor. Hinohara, you've shown us today that identifying and correcting a nutrient deficiency is one of the most powerful and fundamental steps we can take for our long-term health. To our wonderful Healthier Daily community, we encourage you to speak with your doctor about testing for these common deficiencies. As always, this information is for educational purposes and is not a substitute for personal medical advice from a qualified healthcare provider. If you found this guide to these 5 essential nutrients helpful, please like this video, share it with a loved one, and subscribe to our channel. Understanding the silent signs of a nutrient deficiency is the first step to reclaiming your vitality for years to come. It is never too late to address a nutrient deficiency and feel better. In the comments below, please tell us, which of these 5 essential nutrients will you ask your doctor about first? I'm Dr. Ben Carter. Nourish your system, be well, and we'll see you next time.